here we have some very nice and big blocks. So Deborah found this. You see the size of this, probably 2.50 meters or something. Here I'd guess it's at least 4 meters tall. It's resonating. You see the size of that block where Deborah is standing. And here there's a room which has clearly been dug out of the bedrock, and there's a beautiful stairway as well. Here we are in Greece once again, but this time it's Crete, so the island in the South Mediterranean. And we are going to visit the ruins of a city called Lato, which apparently comes from the name Late, which was a deity of the ancient Greek. So the deity, the goddess Late, by the way, was the mother of Apollo and Artemis. And here we have some very nice and big blocks. I show you Deborah just to give a sense of scale. This is supposed to be the entrance. The city is officially dated at the 4th or 5th century BC. It has been inhabited until the 2nd century BC. That's always according to the official story. And but there have been found things that were much earlier, so at least to 1200 BC. Smaller walls here, but this is again quite a big chunk of stone. You can see Deborah for comparison. You see big stones on the bottom, smaller stones on top, so again the feeling is that there is a sequence of civilization utilizing this place. That, Deborah says, was a very nice gate. So we're walking up this stairway. Every once in a while, again, there's some pieces of huge blocks. Another gate here. And this seems to be a nice piece of wall. Quite huge stones. That's again a huge block. You can see Deborah near it. So as you can see, the city goes up quite steeply up the hill. There's quite a few rooms here. By the way, we are not alone. There's a few tourists around. So there's a nice gate over there, really megalithic. And I had the following thought. You see, there's a lot of rooms here and spaces. And then you wonder, they were capable of building all these walls like this one, bring all the stones or carve them out, and then they would leave this outcropping piece of stone here, which is completely disrupting the possibility to make nice rooms. But still, you see, there's an entrance there, right on the outcropping rock. So why not just break it away, make a stairway or something more livable instead? I decided to do it like this. And here we have again a nice piece of wall going up. Also this wall, it seems to be rebuilt. You see, there's a straight line there. There's another straight line there. And in between it was just filled in with other stones. So yeah, the feeling again is that there was something, then it was abandoned, and then later on it was other people rebuilt on top of it. And here again, huge gate, big stones. Deborah? Go near that gate stone. I mean, that's certainly a few tons, if not more. Then here we got the first glimpse of what really looked like a polygonal wall with nice joints. So you can see Deborah in front of this huge block. She measured it about 1.60 meters. Nearby there's just another one about the same size. And up there we have another piece of polygonal wall which has been repaired on the top. But yeah, I would say it's a second kind. So the stones are roughly carved to fit one another, but not with perfect joints. By the way, this goddess Lato, for which they think the city was named, she got pregnant from Zeus, and of course Hera, the wife of Zeus, was jealous, as it always happened in the past, and so she made the life of Lato very difficult, but still she could give birth to two very important gods in Greek mythology, Apollo and Artemis. So Deborah found this, I don't know what it is, it looks like a lintel. It looks maybe from a cistern, because there's mortar on the walls, but you see the size of this block here. It's probably, yeah, that's 1.60 meters when she opens her arms, so probably 2.50 meters, 2.50 meters or something. So in the distance you can see the town of Agios Nikolaos and the beautiful sea, and here we are basically on something like a pass. You see there's a rounded structure on the left, a square structure on the right with big stones, and then it goes up the hill. And here, right in front of this plaza or something, we have a beautiful piece of polygonal wall. There's even one rounded joint here. That's it. And it goes on in that direction. We will follow it now. It's not huge stones here, but nice joints. Not perfect, but it's been adapted in a much better way. This would be a polygonal wall of the third kind. Here the stones get even a little bit bigger. I would guess this chunk of wall is at least 50 meters long. It goes on in that direction. You can see right on top of the outcropping rock, the bedrock. Here there's more structures, some stairs, always made of stone. And just to give you a sense of scale, there's Deborah. Here, see? Here I'd guess it's at least 4 meters tall. No, di alla base. And the rock here has been excavated to make some levels. Yeah, you see. Size of Deborah. She's 160, so there's at least 4 meters. And here in the front, there's another building with perfectly square stones. Small, but you see, a completely different style than what we just saw a couple of meters behind. Actually, I can film them both together. Here in the front, the square wall, and there the polygonal wall. And here we have just a little detail where you can see the stone, the bedrock has been cut to make the first layers of the wall. This is all bedrock, and then there's all the levels here cut, and there too, so it was really planned. From here we have a view of the, I suppose to be Acropolis, but you can see on the base of this rocky hill, it's full of walls. I hope you can see it, because we are quite far, but there's plenty of walls. And actually you wonder, what was the purpose of these walls? I mean, you couldn't really grow anything on these rocks unless the climate was completely different. And anyway, you see in the background there's plenty of flatter land. So again, yeah, it might have been defensive, but then the attackers must have been really dangerous to make them build walls right in the middle of the wall of stone, you see there. So we are near the square wall. You see all the blocks are about the same size. Every once in a while there's a little joint in a corner, but generally they're square. And you see this part is like this as well. But if we watch it in perspective from here, you can see that it's actually always two rows of stone. There's one on the outside here, which is nicely square from the outside, but then in the center they're actually not that precise. So they made them to look square on just on one side. And this feature I've seen everywhere, from Italy to mainland Greece. Walls are often built this way. It's never one block going from one side to the other. It's always two rows, even in such a small wall like this one, which is about half a meter thick. So just one last shot here. So there's a polygonal wall there. Then we have here a square stones wall, and right behind there's a basically pebble wall, you see, very small stones. So three different styles all together within a couple of meters. So we're right on top of the polygonal wall we just saw, and here again there's a construction, a building with square blocks alternating to polygonal walls, at least in the inside. I'll get closer now. So I'm inside this small room. You can see some blocks are really huge, and then you have basically square blocks, and here a small part of polygonal wall with smaller blocks, and there too, but then just beneath it there's other square blocks. So it's really a mixture of styles. And here we have this sort of an altar with the T-joints here as well, there and there, and there's more down there. You can barely see them under that block there. So basically this wall is square on the outside and polygonal on the inside. And a feature I've never seen before. So this single block here on the altar is certainly more than a ton. And now we just found out that, go Deborah, it's resonating. Like l'altro. And that one is not. So there's one level over there where we just walked before, and now we have another level here, just underneath. Here it's more second kind, stones roughly cut. On top you see some rubble, but here we have another really nice and powerful wall. Again, I'd guess a second kind, because they're just roughly cut to fit one another, but it's quite powerful. And they're behind the one we just walked along before. Another view from here. So stones everywhere. It's really a city of stone. So we are in the main square. You see the size of that block where Deborah is standing. Certainly 4 or 5 tons, and they're all like that. And there, a small ridiculous wall with small pebbles. And I think here in front we have another cistern. Wow, that's deep. Yeah, I guess that's a cistern. It's about 5 meters below where we stand. And here we have again some kind of polygonal wall with huge blocks. So you see how steep it's going down here, and still there's pieces of wall and strange construction all over the place, and it's really almost unlivable, as from the steepness it's got. So from here again you can see a big retaining wall on the bottom with large stones, then there's a wall with very small stones, and then the polygonal wall and the square temple on top, all together. We were trying to go on top of the Acropolis, but there's a fence there, so we won't be able to go much further than this. And anyway, here again there's a building, and the walls are polygonal. As we have seen last year on mainland Greece in Cassiope, here too, people had houses with polygonal walls. And here there's a room which has clearly been dug out of the bedrock, and there's a beautiful stairway as well, dug out from the bedrock, which I will take now. It's kind of huge steps, half a meter high, but yeah, people have been working here, and that's the highest we can get. There's a fence here, cannot go any further. So we went to the Acropolis, but there's not much over there, as I showed you. Just one more consideration, here we are right in the main center where we were before. And you see this huge wall here with incredibly big stones. And then if we walk a little bit along it, there is a gate. Clearly there is a gate there with huge side blocks. And then it just ends into a wall of small stones. But actually the wall goes on in that direction, you can see. It turns and goes up there. So the feeling is that there was a wall, a serious wall with gates and everything, and then it was abandoned, and later on people just built some other kind of room here with smaller stones. It's a completely different style, the size is completely different. And it wouldn't make any sense to have a gate here that leads to nowhere. So to wrap it up, one last look at the agora of the city of Lato in Crete. It's the northeast of Crete. We have the city Lato, supposedly named after the goddess Lato, who was the lover, one of the lovers of Zeus, and the mother of Apollo and Artemis. The city is officially dated around the 4th, 5th century BC. There's been some objects found that date back to the 12th century BC. What we could observe is walls of various kinds, some megalithic, polygonal, some square, some just rubble or small stones. So I let it up to anyone to make up his mind. In my opinion, this place has been inhabited by many different cultures over time, who have left what the style of their era was. Thank you, and see you in the next video.